Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Reesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Cassie LaMere, founder and creative director of Cassie LaMere Events. Please enjoy Cassie LaMere. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I'm here with Cassie LaMere, founder and creative director of Cassie LaMere Events. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation, and I'm honored to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. I am super excited to hear how creativity shows up in the world that you navigate with events and everything that goes into that. But before we get there, why don't you take a couple of minutes and let our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm a new dog mom, first and foremost.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's my, proud announcement. So, and also still a newlywed. So my husband and I have been married for a year and a half and have become pet parents. So we are very much in puppy land and loving every moment. So she's our official party animal mascot for Cassie LaMere Events.
Love it.
But yeah, I mean, I have been a luxury event designer for over 15 years, and I'm really dedicated and on a mission to help our clients create events for a life well lived. And this is something that I have only recently kind of connected the dots and realized that it stems back to my earliest memories of kind of being born wanting to entertain and make everything a special occasion. And there are, family videos of me as a child setting the table and, creating a menu. And so I think it's definitely something that's just kind of always been, intrinsically in me and who I am. And, along the way and along the path have had different experiences that have led to a career in the events industry.
I love that. And I imagine listeners may have some questions about when you say luxury events, what are you actually talking about? So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for us, one of the things I love about the current phase that I'm in with owning my own agency is we work on a diverse range of events. So, some planners you may find are specialized in one particular type of event. For us, we work on a spectrum of projects. So we are producing events in the corporate lifestyle experiential space, which are, when I say lifestyle, it's more, brand events and experiences that are created for, a particular luxury brand, whether it's like a pop-up or hospitality for VIPs or, a product launch, influencer dinners, things of that nature. And then on the social side, we, work on special occasions, so milestones, birthdays, baby showers, anniversaries, clients who just love to entertain. And so we have the opportunity to be a part of those really meaningful moments. And then we also do select fee weddings as well. But all through this luxury lens. So my background is all in the luxury space. Prior to starting my agency 6 years ago, I worked in-house for some celebrated luxury brands, handling their experiential events for many years. So it's just an area that we know well. And we're definitely enthusiasts and students of those experiences. But I think when you ask about what makes it luxury, obviously there's a lot of different elements that go into that, but I think it's a point of view. It's definitely an attention to detail, the level of craftsmanship quality, and most importantly, probably are the customization and personalization that we do within the events, and also the service that we provide. So everything is very concierge level service, all inclusive. So just very mindful and intentional with our work within the, the luxury space. And, I love getting to have this diversity with our projects after being dedicated to one brand for so many years, to be able to use different creative muscles, as you talk a lot about.
Yeah.
And a lot of our clients are CEOs or entrepreneurs in their own right. So we have the privilege of being their planner of record, that we do their company events and their personal events. So I think that's a really special place to be entrusted with that. And that's why I think it's important for us to keep that range of services so that we can really meet all of the needs of the clients that we build these, really intimate relationships with.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like such a fun industry, and that you get to offer so many different experiences for people to choose from. And what a wonderful way to express your own creativity through expressing a client's creative ideas as well. When you think about creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
For me, it's very organic, and it's very kind of, again, going back to that like intuitiveness and something that is, just within me. Often like people will ask me about my creative process as a planner,
Yeah.
and I just say that it's something that it's something that just comes to me. And I know that sounds kind of abstract, but I immediately will have like a vision of what I want to create when I'm getting that description from the client. So when we're meeting with a client and we're getting often what's called like a creative brief of what, their expectations are, what they're looking to accomplish, any ideas that they might have. I immediately can start to visualize what I want to create and who I want to pull in and assemble to build this experience. And so I do feel like it is a very, second nature creativity, that process for me, but it's also built off of basically a lifetime of absorbing ideas and inspiration. And I will often refer to what I call like my archive of ideas that I'm storing and retaining. And I will see something and I will earmark it. And I know that there will someday be the right opportunity to utilize that inspiration or that creative idea. And I don't necessarily know when or the client or who that will be, but when those moments happen, like I'm already kind of going through the mental archive and pulling together all of those nuances and ideas.
Sure.
So it is kind of a complex system when you think about it that way, of all of the influence that has led to that moment, but it does happen pretty instinctually for me.
Yeah, I love the intuitive aspect of it, because there is something when you meet someone and start hearing what they're looking for, you do have that sense of, oh, this would be great for that, or being able to generate those seemingly off the cuff ideas that you've been cataloging and storing up to this
whether you're
point.
aware of it or not, and
Yeah.
I love the word generate. I think that's great because it's an action, like, it really implies that the wheels are turning, right? And there's a different, like, there's an ecosystem at work, pulling all of that together. And I think it does take a level of, I guess, experience as a seasoned professional to be able to have the level of layers and, like I said, the I guess the diversity of what we're putting together and all of those nuances and those influences, because they can be very subtle. They can be a small little pattern that I saw on a textile or a piece of art, and I want to turn it into a linen for a table. Like, they can become very microscopic in that detail and how we then translate and utilize it. But and then of course, there's the process of then like developing mood boards and, creative decks and design decks and all the things that follow. but that initial creative process for me, some people, might have to like go and research and, come up with
Mm-hmm.
ideas and again, everyone's process is different.
Yeah,
But for me, it just, kind of starts flowing.
I
Did
love
you ever
that.
watch The Queen's Gambit?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I don't know if like people understand this reference, so I don't usually talk about it, but the way I see it is like how she was visualizing the
The
chessboard on the
chessboard.
ceiling.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
That's kind of like what my experience is like during the creative process is I can
Mm-hmm.
already see the
Mm-hmm.
end result,
Yeah.
um and in within my own corner of the world.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Now, working in events, you hear about events going really well, events being really difficult or challenging. I'm so curious, when you are faced with those challenges, how do you creatively navigate them, or how do you face those more creative road bumps?
Um, well, I think that naturally they exist, and that's part of the process.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people in creative fields talk about feeling that they're stifled or they're at a creative block.
Mhm.
Um, and so certainly, in times where we're producing multiple events or, in those peak seasons, it's common that we might face burnout or we
Sure.
might be feeling like our energy levels are depleted. And so um I think everybody deals with that differently and processes that differently. For
Mhm.
me, I'm still learning how to navigate those moments and just really have a sense of awareness of when I'm reaching those obstacles, what
Mhm.
is beneficial for me to kind of regenerate. There's that word again. Generate,
Yeah.
regenerate. um so it's very much true for me that when I step away from things, I often will find that solution that I was searching for, or
Mhm.
an idea will come to mind that I was seeking. Talking through things is helpful for me too. I'm definitely a person that sometimes needs to talk through things with someone and have that sounding board. And
Mhm.
as I'm processing the information, an idea or, some sort of alternative way of looking at things will reveal themselves. And so
Mhm.
I know that about myself definitely. And, owning your own business and having a team, that's a challenge in itself, because often you're an island, right?
Yeah.
You're over here,
Yeah.
like, especially when you're starting your business and you don't have a
Mhm.
whole team and you're kind of one person wearing all of these hats. So knowing about how to have support systems in place, or people that you can turn to be a
Mhm.
sounding board or to brainstorm. um and I definitely think like giving myself permission to rest
Mhm.
and to take time away from things, although I feel because I'm someone that's normally operating at a very high level and
Yeah.
a, a high frequency of schedules and stress and pace.
Mhm.
I feel guilty about doing that, and that's something I'm
Sure.
working on, is trying to give myself permission to know
Mhm.
that that's just as an important part of the process.
Mhm.
um and then what the outcomes that I benefit from doing that are exponential, whether
Yeah.
it's personally or professionally. But I know I'm not the only one that deals with the struggle of um
Absolutely.
not feeling guilty or like I should be doing something, or
Right. Or turning it
um
off, turning that
yeah.
event planner mind off or down. Yeah. You mentioned growing up as a kid, you love to plan or turn things into special occasions or
Mhm.
special events. I'm curious, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
Oh wow, that's a great question. I mean, very young. I started dance when I was 2 years old,
Oh,
so
wow.
I've been around music and performing arts my entire life.
Hmm.
I have early memories of performing for my family or in the living room. I was always putting on a show,
Yeah.
and that musical or dance expression of creativity was definitely something that was present, as well as the desire to entertain and make occasions special. I have early memories as well of like I was saying to you, like wanting to bake a cake for my parents' anniversary, or
Yeah.
I always loved holidays, and I was fortunate to grow up in a home where my mom made all of the holidays a big occasion and decorated, and
Hmm.
so it's as early as I can remember. And then also I was involved in philanthropic events from a very young age. So
Hmm.
I have early memories of being involved with fundraisers and charitable events. And, now I also realizing that those were events that were influencing me, and
Hmm.
I was involving myself in events in different capacities, but from a very young age.
Yeah. Oh, I love all those pieces that have come together, and
Yeah.
hearing about the music and the dance and the special
Mhm.
occasion and the holiday and decorations. It makes sense that you now do this as a career in terms of putting all of those pieces together. I'm curious, growing up, was this cultivated by your parents, or when you said, I'm starting my own business in events planning, did they have any hesitation about that? What was that experience for you?
So for me, definitely throughout my childhood, I sought out opportunities
Mm.
for inspiration and the arts. And that was something that I initiated. My parents certainly supported it, but I had the desire to learn more, have more exposure, to
Mhm.
kind of be put myself in environments to be a part of different cultural activities, the arts and travel. And
Mhm.
I was very like curious, I guess that's a good way to put it. So I was always like absorbing information and facts and studying different things that I would kind of get interested in a particular subject
Mhm.
matter. So I think that was, again, I'm fortunate that I had parents who were supportive of my interests, but it was something that I initiated.
Yeah.
And then I even like I laugh like planned my prom, and there's just like so many things over the years now, like where I realize um and then I experienced a significant amount of loss
Mm.
in my high school years, and that was really formidable for me because it's a time of growth and development where you're really figuring out who you are, and
Mhm.
kind of navigating that journey. And so at that time, one of the friends that had passed away right before her 16th birthday.
Mm.
And I saw the impact on her family, that they were going to miss these milestones that they had, looked forward to sharing together, weddings and 16th
Yeah.
birthday and all of these, kind of markers of a life well lived that we look forward to. And
Mhm.
that really impacted me on this journey of feeling passionate and really strongly, about helping people seize those opportunities to celebrate and to
Mhm.
gather and to have those like once in a lifetime experiences that you're going to look back on for the rest of your life. So that is really that underlying why
Mm.
it is so important to me, and there's this purpose
Yeah.
behind what we're doing. When I decided to launch my own company, after working in-house for many years with corporate brands, that my parents were nervous because they are from a generation where it's a different model. Like
Mhm.
now there's a lot of different ways to make a living and to support yourself. They came from a generation where you stayed at the same company for 30 years, and
Yeah.
had that kind of a different way of earning a salary and having that
Mhm.
consistency. And so I think they were nervous for me in the sense that it was a big risk what I was doing, and obviously they had a lot of questions, um as rightfully so, about like how do you see this all working out and what's the
Yeah.
plan. But again, I'm fortunate that, ultimately they have always been supportive of any endeavor that I've chosen to pursue. And they know that when I set my mind to something, I do it 110%. So I think they had confidence. They knew that I had the experience and the capabilities to do it, but just more about, some of the challenges that come with, owning your own business and the, lack of security and some of those, different elements that you have to face in an entrepreneurship journey. But, the best part is I didn't have the answers, I was going into it, again, kind of going back to feeling like this is something that I was meant to do and just going for it. And I'm sure there was a lot of, I was naive in a lot of ways, and you don't know what you don't know. And you do it. And, I kind of jumped in and then figured it out as I went.
Nice.
So now knowing what I know, I don't know if I would
have done the same thing.
I'm so glad. I love owning my own business, but there is this, you do kind of, you're protected in a way of like not knowing it all and just kind of taking that leap. And, I probably would have had a lot more doubt and fears and kind of, delayed making the decision if I known everything, but that's how it goes. Right. And so that's the beauty of sometimes just like the ignorance and, just going into it and making it happen. And I know that for sure, like I will figure it out. So, and I'm still figuring out.
and you're still doing that. I love to hear that. And I love the honesty that, you are still learning and figuring it out. That's so important. I'm curious, working with the clients that you work with, when they show up and have an idea, but they don't feel like they're creative enough to bring it to life, or how would you encourage them to find that creativity for themselves?
It's common that most of our clients don't have those ideas and a fully baked concept when they come to us. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about when to engage an event planner and the role of an event planner is a lot of our clients delay bringing us into the conversation because they feel like they have to have this all figured out before they bring us in, and they need to hand us this full concept on a platter and then now go run and make it happen. And so it actually is one of the services and value that we can provide to our clients to facilitate that process. So to your point, like, how do we collaborate on the creative process and help the client get in touch with what it is that they're seeking? And I love that part the most. I mean, the creative design and direction part of our role is where I think I'm best suited in my expertise and what I enjoy the most out of the whole process. And so I love being a part of those conversations early on, and how I help clients who may not have as much of, a sense of what it is that they're wanting is, really dependent on how this client communicates and how they learn. I think it's important to be aware of whether someone's visual or, if they want to break things down in a very like strategic or tactical way, or if they're, somebody that has so many ideas that they don't, we need to help kind of edit them down. Everyone has their own unique kind of personality and characteristics. I do often go through like a series of what we call like a discovery conversation, where I have certain prompts and questions that typically will help extract some of that information from our clients. And they are not even aware necessarily that they have those answers, but the process in which we use to have that dialogue, and helping them navigate I think is really successful in kind of getting to that place where we can have those insights and those aha moments. And then, sometimes it is looking through photos and asking, what do you like or not like about this image or about this event. It's just as helpful to know what someone doesn't like as what they do. And
Yeah.
I think it's really important for people to like feel empowered to communicate that it's great to also have the list of things that you don't want, because that will help me. From there, I can use deductive reasoning to understand what it is that you are looking for.
Sure.
So, the more that we can get kind of expectations and specific during that process, then we have a clear understanding of how to operate as an extension of the client going forward, and, thinking on their behalf. But also, we thrive in a space where the client says, I trust you, come to us with ideas or concepts, this is what you do. You're going to take this to a level that we wouldn't have even, imagined possible. Like, it's great when you can have, obviously that level of trust and that autonomy to really bring something to them that they may have not even considered, or on another level beyond, but it's awesome to be able to have like those yes and conversations, and you're kind of just letting things flow, and there's no right or wrong, and just building upon each other, and seeing where things can go. But it's definitely, for me, like making the impossible possible is something that we is an area of expertise that we excel at, if I'm being totally honest. So sometimes, like, we need the client to think expansively, and we're always taught to think, to reduce things, right? And be like, no, that's not possible, or here's why that won't work, or I can't imagine that, this could be an outcome for us. So I love to think expansively as much as possible, if in our team and with our clients. And then it's our job to go and figure out how to make that happen. And they don't have to solve that. They don't have to have all the answers, but it's definitely my favorite part of the process, because this is where, like I said, all of that library of ideas and all of those references and influences are coming into play and creating something completely custom. Because our clients really value, they want something personalized and custom to them. So we're not repeating ideas. But then also with that means we have to constantly be
generating,
ideating, and when we're working on an event for a year and a half at a time, that's a really long lead time to be ahead of the curve on ideas and concepts. Because if something's being done by the time we get to the event, it's already been 10 other places, right? So we have to like be on the forefront of that. And so those timelines can be a little bit challenging and also for the client, because often the client will change their mind, right? Or they'll see other inspiration and change course. And so there's some, challenges within that as well, when you're talking about like maintaining creativity and
staying
also
on top of it all at the same time and navigating. Oh my goodness.
And also, like, there's so much, we're inundated with so much information, and so it's very common for a client to become, start to second guess their choices, or to become distracted, or kind of go a different direction. And same for us, as we're continuing to refine and perfect concepts and design, that is something where I'm quite persistent on getting it exactly right. And I have this, it's kind of a gut feeling, like I know when it's not there yet, and I will continue to pursue it until I know that it's right. And so that is something that can be unsettling, because that it's not there yet, right? And
Yeah.
you don't know what exactly it is, but for me, there's something that's like we're still not achieving. Like there's something
Mm-hmm.
still to be taken it a step further,
Mm-hmm.
because good enough is not the bar for us, and
Yeah.
so that process can be exhaustive, and so can for me it's part of who I am, but for other people it's
Yeah.
sometimes can be something that is, they're like, well, isn't this good enough, like and but that's just not where the magic lies for us. But
Yeah.
especially with clients who are getting all of these different influences and pulled in different directions, helping them kind of stay the course and
Right.
trust their initial vision, and
Mm-hmm.
and helping them have the ability to dial into what it is that's really important to them, so that
Mm-hmm.
some of this outside influence doesn't lead them down a path that's really not connected to like their goals and what's
Yeah.
personal to them.
Which makes total sense. And I love how you kind of wrapped it up and captured all of those pieces of like you are giving this gift to people who are wanting the biggest ideas. If they aren't
Mm-hmm.
thinking big enough, giving that gift of like it can be bigger. Here's where we can go and how we can
Yeah,
do that.
and big doesn't always mean more is more, but
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think that when for what I've learned along the way is like if you haven't experienced it yourself, it's difficult for you to know
Yeah.
what's possible. And
Right.
so just helping clients understand and visualize what's possible for them in their events, and is something again that is just learned over experience and
Mm-hmm.
time, kind of really studying
Yeah.
my profession and putting myself in environments to experience those things and to kind of
Mm-hmm.
understand that level. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then it's so natural to like question your decisions or to get
Yeah.
distracted or overwhelmed by all of this information that's available to us. And it is a very overwhelming process. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of stress,
Yeah.
especially if it's one of those moments of a lifetime, right? Like a wedding or
Absolutely.
so it's definitely, we want you to have the ultimate experience. That is what we
Mm-hmm.
want.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about something like a wedding, like the pressure is already, it's a pressure cooker.
Right.
And then adding in these different layers, it's definitely something that there's lots of highs and lows. And so we
Yeah.
are with a partner with our clients through that,
Mm-hmm.
navigating that journey and guiding those decisions. But there's a lot of factors at play that
Absolutely. I can
and a
only
lot of opinions,
imagine.
a lot
Yes.
of opinions too, which is
Ooh,
another thing, you have
yeah.
to learn to figure out what's right for you within that, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody has their opinion and their advice. And
Yeah.
um so you don't, I think we're often like, I don't know if you feel this way, but with like creativity, like some people will just say I'm not creative, or
Mm-hmm.
they will feel like they're kind of told what to like or what to
Yeah.
care about. And I'm a big believer in, we need to kind of not look at things in a formulaic way, but look at what's meaningful to you and
Mm-hmm.
your story, and not worry so much about what's the tradition or things are usually done this way. Part of being creative is kind of flipping all of that on its head and looking at what really is meaningful to you and
Mm-hmm.
personal, and then we go from there. So we kind of work backwards
Yeah.
in a sense. But if something doesn't serve you or add value or isn't
Mm-hmm.
authentic to you, then that has no place in
Right.
your event.
Which makes
um
total sense.
yeah, and so during that process, it's really essential that we help kind of drill down to
Mm-hmm.
what's really important in those core values, and whether that's
Yeah.
for a company or an individual.
Mhm.
And then using that as like the guiding compass throughout the process. And if things don't fit within that, then, you know, there's no obligation, there are no
Right.
rules. So
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to feel empowered
Yeah.
to, you know, step away from some of the traditional
Mhm.
ideas of what something should look like, or what occasions should be celebrated.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. The freedom of choice and really
Right.
eliciting that from clients. Well, this has been such a treat chatting with you. I have one last question. What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
I love that question. It feels like a fire inside of me.
Oh,
It is when I'm at my highest vibration, where
mhm.
I'm the most enthusiastic, excited, energized, inspired, and it feels like my natural state.
I love
Um,
that.
so when I'm in that, I know people call it like the flow, or you know, there's
Sure.
different terms for it, but it's definitely a high frequency vibe,
Mhm.
vibration, and it's, you know, when I'm the happiest. So I'm fortunate that, you know, I've been able to make a career out of doing something that comes second nature to me, and that
Yeah.
really, you know, enlivens me.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. If people want to learn more about the work that you do, the things that are out there in the world, how could they go about doing that?
Well, I'd love for, you know, people to reach out so we can continue the conversation on Instagram at Cassie LaMere Events. My website as well is under our brand, and then I'm dipping my toe in the water of TikTok, so you
Ooh.
can find us out there. So, you know, it's a new platform for us that we're, you know, launching into. So a few different places, and then of course like LinkedIn, and there's another great site for inspiration and creativity called Party Slate that we have a presence on as well, that I'd love to, you know, share with your community as a place to find ideas and vendors. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I will put all of that in show notes so people have easy access. And this has been eye-opening around the world of event planning, and I've thoroughly enjoyed hearing how creativity shows up in your world.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm now excited about what's next. So thank you for filling up my tank as well.
Wonderful. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.